Namaste, and welcome to Chapter 1, Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now, before we begin, I would like to offer my respects to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord and the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. I would also like to offer my respects to my spiritual master, Jagat Guru Siddhaswarupananda, and to the author of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. On the 12th of May 1971 in Australia, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami wrote a short preface for this book in which he expressed his greatest admiration for the Bhagavad Gita. He then wrote a 29-page introduction which he filled with explanations of the principles of Vedic knowledge in terms of devotion to Krishna. So let us now begin with Chapter 1. There are 46 verses in this chapter, and I have divided it into 5 segments, accompanied with 11 verses. Segment 1. As this chapter is titled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, we may ask, who is observing the armies? The opening verse is the blind king inquiring from his secretary Sanjay, who is able to see and hear in real time what was happening on the battlefield. Verse 1. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after assembling in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do, being desirous to fight? And then Sanjay responds by describing many details of the two armies. So it is Sanjay who is observing the armies. Segment 2. Sanjay informs the king that Arjuna wishes to see who he is about to fight. Verse 20. O king, at that time Arjuna, the son of Pandu, who was seated in his chariot, his flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows, looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra. O king, Arjuna then spoke to Rishikesh, Krishna, these words. Verses 21 to 22. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see who is present here, who is desirous of fighting, and with whom I must contend in this great battle attempt. Segment 3. Arjuna, who is a fearless, battle-hardened warrior, becomes overwhelmed and confused when he sees all his family members there. He begins to lament loudly. Verse 28. Arjuna said, My dear king, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. So it is at this point that the Bhagavad Gita starts to become personal for us. When we identify with the material body, we become filled with fear and lamentation at the perplexities of material life. Segment 4. Although Arjuna is confused, he doesn't yet inquire from Krishna what he should do. Instead, he describes how he will escape from his dilemma. He won't fight. Instead, he'll give up any kingdoms and property and become a renunciate. In verse 35, O maintainer of all creatures, I'm not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the 3 worlds, let alone this earth. In verse 36, sin will overcome us, if we slay such aggressors. Therefore it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. He also proposes he won't fight because it will disturb society. In verse 42, due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. He even goes further to say, those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. In segment 5, Arjuna now is saying he will not fight. In verse 45, I would consider it better for the sons of Dhritarashtra to kill me unarmed and unresisting rather than fight with them. So it's come to this point. And then Sanjay informs the king in the last verse, 46. Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So this first chapter began with Sanjay describing all the mighty warriors who are there assembled and ready to fight. But he finishes this chapter with his description to the blind king of Arjuna's refusal to fight. In some ways, this was an act of surrender before the battle had even begun. So until we meet for chapter 2, Namaste.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.